Alright, it's time for the classic Mega Man series wrap up, which means I'm going to just be rambling about the classic series for a bit, so. Shrug. So, the classic Mega Man series to me is kind of. It would be a disservice, I think, to call it middle of the road, because that kind of implies it's bad, especially nowadays where the most vicious, brutal thing you can say about something is that it's mid, so, I don't know. Feels like it's insulting to say, but the classic series really is kind of just the. It doesn't have as higher highs as some of the other Mega Man series, but it also does not have really low lows. Like, there were Mega Man games I disliked or didn't like as much. It was mostly 10, but while I wouldn't like to replay it again, I could, especially if I didn't have to do a no-hit run. If I could just, play it normally, I might have a slightly better time. Still not as much a time, but, other than that, what are the other games I don't like in this series? 1? That's the first games, that's understandable. They were just starting out, they didn't quite know what they were doing entirely yet. They had to fine-tune some stuff, and they did pretty quickly overall. I don't think 2's my favorite, but it's kinda leaps and bounds ahead of 1. It's just a shame about that Wily Castle, because, God, that Wily Castle is so bad. Yeah, no, and then, other than that, you've got, 5? 5 was kinda to me, but, it wasn't that bad. I'd play it again, and I wouldn't hate it. Gun to my head, I'd even play Mega Man 1 again. I don't know why you would have a gun to my head for that purpose. It seems like kind of a waste. Whoever's putting your gun to my head, guess what? I have an LP of Mega Man 1 on YouTube. You should check it out. And then I get shot by the gunman, who apparently cares about my playing of Mega Man games. But no, yeah, I had a good time throughout the classic series. I cannot say anyone was particularly miserable, again, other than 10, but it was kind of on me in the way I play these. Which is why I enjoyed playing Mega Man 11 and kind of just letting myself go through it and not making as big a deal about things. I still wanted to know Death Run, but other than that, I took it easy on myself, and I had a good time playing Mega Man 11 for the first time, and seeing it for the second time. It was a solid game, and I really enjoyed it. Probably one of my favorites? I'm not really one for rankings, so I'm not going to do that, but I don't know, in terms of highlights, I would say, 2, other than the castle, pretty good. Again, I wouldn't call it my favorite. A lot of people still consider 2 kind of the pinnacle of everything, but it was okay. I liked it well enough. It still wasn't all there, though. Mega Man 3 is the game that was actually, more there than 2 was. That really solidified the level design a lot more, tightened up things, had a good weapon set without having one broken weapon, Metal Blade. And then 4 added the Charged Buster, which is just a good idea. Giving the player a tool that is useful before you finish level 1 is just good. I'm pretty sure there are some people who disagree with that. They're wrong. Sliding and charging are both very important, so 3 and 4 are very important games because of that. And so they're probably up there as some of my favorites. 5, of course, I've said is kind of eh. 6, other than the kind of unfortunate robot stereotypes, it's a really good game, and look, I've seen worse. There have certainly been worse examples from things I like. For example, I'm rewatching Dragon Ball right now, and I'm mostly enjoying it, except for all the parts that make me go, ooh, which are not few and far between, but we're not talking about Dragon Ball, we're talking about Mega Man. But yeah, no, 6 was good. I enjoyed 6. And I'm not just saying that because that's when I decided to do a roll hack. No, I enjoyed it in of itself. It's a fine game. 7 I don't hate as much as a lot of people do. It's certainly one of the weaker, like, past 8-bit games, right? Like, of any game in the main series that is not a 8-bit game, it's probably my least favorite. I would definitely rank 8 higher, because I really enjoyed 8. Rockman and Fort being on the SNES is the closest to 7, and even then, that's also just a better experience than 7, other than King's Fortress. Oh god. I just reminded myself of King's Castle, fuck you, and ugh. Okay. I guess I would rather play 7's Fortress over King Castle, cause good god. Even if I weren't doing a no-hit run, King's Castle sucks, and I hate it. Actually, I think I did kind of abandon the no-hit run briefly when I got to the boss of that one, right? Because I was just fucking exhausted by that point. I just kind of damage raced it, if I remember correctly. Oh, that was not a good experience, but yeah, no, 8 was fun. I really liked 8, and of course I've already mentioned 11 was very good. 9, I don't appreciate for removing the charge shot and the slide. Again, this is where the Mega Man 2 fandom is kind of bad. I mean, like, people are free to like 2. Like, I can't tell you it's not your favorite game. That would be ludicrous. Who would go on the internet and tell people what they do or don't like? What a ridiculous concept. But anyway, yeah, no, like, just the fact that they thought going back to their roots meant removing 2 very helpful and good bits of gameplay was just a bad idea. Like, a majority of the classic series before that had at least one of those. Like, 1 and 2 are the only games without at least a slide. But then, yeah, no, 9, they just decided to remove those. And at the very least, the level design is tight enough and good enough that, like, okay, it's like I'm playing less good 3 or 4. The level design was fine, and, like, the bosses were still good as well. They had some pretty solid bosses. They're not quite the pushovers that some of the mid-series, classic series bosses could be. But also, like, the Robot Master weapons actively helped in the boss fights. There was some very smart design in the bosses that I appreciate. 10, I keep saying, like, I like Mega Man games a lot based on sort of their weapon set. And 10's weapon set was just not good. I did not like that one. Same for 5. I've said that a lot, and I still think it's true for the classic series. If I really like the game's weapons, I just have a lot more fun with them. And honestly, like, replaying these games for LPs has been fun because, like, when I first played the Mega Man games, I kind of had that whole mindset of, like, well, I'm not gonna use the boss weapons. I don't know why. I don't know if it's a pride thing for a lot of people, or if it's just because, like, they have limited ammunition, and therefore you don't want to waste it, even though it refills between stages, and, well, I mean, I guess if you die, it's wasted, but that's kind of just the risk of it, huh? But, you know, just actively going in and thinking, yeah, no, I should use this stuff was fun. I enjoyed that. I guess if I had to pick out a weakness, though, for the classic series, it is the fact that, you know, there's no lower lows, but there's not, like, super high highs. Like, I enjoy each game, sure, and technically I would enjoy them all for their own reasons, but also, like, okay, I could sort of tell you what Robot Master is in each game. I don't think I would get a perfect score on many of them, but I have a general ballpark of who's where. And from them, I could kind of remember what, like, specific stages in each game. But, like, if you just gave me a classic Mega Man level devoid of context up until the post 8-bit games, I don't think I could tell you. Even the games I like in the mid-series, like 3, 4, 5, and maybe a little bit of 6, though I think the color palette of that game is distinct enough that I might be able to tell. Like, some of those levels definitely get crossed in my mind. I don't think I could remember all of them. 1 and 2 I could remember at least, though, because, like, the backgrounds aren't really detailed, but, like, in such a way that actually, ironically, makes them more memorable. Like, Bubble Man's stage I remember, because it's just a big waterfall. There's nothing else to it. And, like, it's super simplistic, but it actually wraps around to being more memorable. Meanwhile, there's, like, 1,000 aquatic labs somehow across 4 games. I don't know which one is which. I think the one where you're on the little wave bike is in 5, right? I can name that one. But yeah, no, the games kind of get a little bit indistinct at times. Again, that's not necessarily bad. They're enjoyable. It's just sometimes the individual games can struggle to find their identities a little bit. Though, the styles are so varied between the post 8-bit games that, like, it's actually relatively easy to tell. Like, 7 and Rockman and 4, yeah, I could get those mixed up, but 8's? 8's got a distinct art style. If you see a background from that game, you know it's from that game. And 11, like, it was made years later. It looks way different. It's done in 3D. Same kind of goes for the music. Good soundtrack all around. I'd have highlights here and there, but I don't really remember them off the top of my head unless I'm actively listening to them. And that is actually, I think, the weakness of some of the post 8-bit games. 8 especially. 7, 4, and 11 have some pretty good soundtracks, but 8 is just kind of... They were experimenting with instrumentation, and they're not the most exciting soundtracks. But, like, all the 8-bit songs, yeah, no, those are all bangers, even if, again, I might get them mixed up from game to game. They're good songs. They have a very good style, and they mastered that game's identity in its music very quickly. They knew what they were doing pretty early on. Again, indistinct doesn't mean bad. You're not really gonna find a bad Mega Man song in the classic series. Anyway, now for the shit I'm actually here for. Plot and tone of the classic series. Now, you might think, oh, how does she have anything to talk about for this? All the games are, oh, I've gotta get Wily, blow up a bunch of robots, get Wily, oh wait, no, we didn't get him, he got away. And then sometimes, they like to pretend that it's not Wily that you have to get, but then it turns out, no, yeah, it was Wily you had to get, actually. And, like, technically speaking, yeah, like, there's not a huge overarching plot to Mega Man that... There's no deep intrigue or huge twists and turns or anything, but, you know, I don't think it needs that at all, and I don't really know if I'd want to see what it looks like if they tried to pull it off, because it just seems unnecessary. Look, Mega Man is very much an old anime. It's a very optimistic show of the future. It's just very Astro Boy. Yeah, you've got Mega Man, who is just, again, classic anime boy. He's a very cutesy robot type character. And, you know, he's just in this big ol', like, optimistic future bubble city, big, tall, complex buildings, but also plenty of plants type thing, you know? All that stuff. You think of a more upbeat sci-fi series, you kind of just fill in what Mega Man looks like. You know, things are nice. You've got technology actually alongside nature. They're not really at odds ever. Things are just kind of good. Except for that darn Dr. Wily. Oh, Wily. Why you doing evil stuff again, Wily? And that's mostly just the plots. If there is evil in this world, it's just Wily. Was it Cossack? No. Wily just kidnapped his daughter and made him do evil things. To what end? I guess to make Mega Man run through 2 fortresses instead of just the one. I mean, if you tire him out before he has to return the game, you've won. You see, that's Dr. Wily's clever trick. Nobody ever tells you about that, but it's well thought out on his end. But yeah, no, like, there's just something kind of comforting about the sci-fi future that Mega Man presents. The sci-fi future of 20XX, which, technically speaking, kind of has to be, you know, the early 2000s or early 2010s, because the first game was 200X. Therefore, only that last digit was different. You know, it was only in Mega Man 2 that they changed it to 20XX. So maybe that's when they turned it to 2010. Maybe that's when that takes place. Anyway, I got lost. Where am I? Hello? Plot? Sorry, I got off the rails there. I'll be good this time. Maybe. But anyway, though, yeah, like, it's a very pleasant cyber future, where, like, the only thing you have to worry about is Dr. Wily. And look, you might think the mad scientist who keeps brainwashing, like, 8 robots every year or so, you'd think he would be a huge threat, but, like, as far as anyone can tell, he doesn't really have a body count despite all those exploding buildings. Look, it's the nice future where every building has a very good escape route. They've all got real big vac tubes that help you evacuate in case of robot attacks. And they're also wheelchair accessible, so don't have to worry about that either. It's the future, baby. This one doesn't suck. So yeah, tonally speaking, I do appreciate the classic series for being as upbeat as it is. We're going to need that going into the next few series, because boy oh boy, afterwards, they're not. They're a little more bleak in their tones, but the classic series is nice. Like, I remember back in the day, people really wanted sort of like a connecting game between the classic series and the X series, but, you know, I mean, I also thought that was a good idea at the time. You know, I mean, it's lore, right? You want more lore. You gotta have these connective tissues between games. But the implications of a connecting bit between Classic and X means that the Classic series would kind of end on a sour note, because things couldn't really go well. At best, they would end bittersweet, but again, I don't think that's really necessary at all. Each series really explains itself well enough that you don't need anything between the games going, and then here's what happens, and you get to play it. Like, I think it's fine that each Mega Man game kind of exists in its own bubble. Classic series' tone really wouldn't survive not being a Saturday morning cartoon. And I don't mean that to be a bad thing. I think it's good that it is just kind of upbeat. It's fine. It's the story it wants to tell. And speaking of story, okay, look. I said there's no huge twists and turns or anything. However, I think the back half of the series is actually kind of consistent and sort of... It has a flow to it that I've really appreciated over the last few years. The first few games, of course, yeah, no, they don't matter whatsoever. Mega Man defeats Wily, Wily bows, he gets away. There you go, end of game. Mega Man rides home on a train or something. But starting from 6, they really tried to do something with it. I'm not gonna say that this leads into any, like, huge thing or any big moral or whatever, but, like, 6 is the first game where something different happens. 6 is the game where Mega Man just sends Wily to jail. I guess Wily was just feeling sick that day and didn't really have a backup plan. Or my run was canon and Roll is just better at arresting Wily than Mega Man is. Regardless, he gets arrested, and then 7 gets to start on the note of, well, he just breaks out of prison anyway. Now, 7, of course, is the huge turning point for everything because, well, it's got the most memorable ending. I don't think anyone will disagree with that. Especially if you played the US version, where Mega Man just straight up threatens to shoot Wily. However, I've been thinking about it since ending 11, and really since I ended that LP as well, for 7. But like, I kinda wish I played the hack that actually just kept the Japanese version of that ending. 'Cause, look, okay. In of itself, the important part of 7's ending is that Mega Man put the gun out in the first place. He raised his buster, he was going to shoot Wily. Though, if you don't remember the difference between the two endings, the original Japanese ending has Wily just going, hey, you've heard of Asimov, right? And Mega Man's just like, shit, I have, and I can't harm humans, damn it, you got me, Wily. And the US version, Wily's like, Asimov? And Mega Man's just like, I don't give a shit about Asimov. I'm gonna fucking cap you with energy. There's no real cap in there, but you get the point. And then Mega Man's stumbling of words gives Bass enough time to run and go, you probably shouldn't shoot Wily. And then he takes Wily away. So yeah, like I said, the fact that he raises his gun at all is not changed for that ending. And I think that's the important part for 7's ending, after 6's intrigue of, oh wait, he actually just fucking arrests Wily. Now it goes, well, Wily escaped jail, so what the hell is Mega Man going to do now? Like, if jail is not enough to stop Wily, then I guess we should just shoot him, right? And it's not as though Mega Man, like, super goes off the deep end in the US version, he just has a lot more follow-through. However, I think the original version is better because it leads into the other games pretty well, actually. I think Wily saying, hey, I'm human, is actually crucial to the endings of the other... Well, okay. Crucial's a bit of an overstatement, I will say, but I'm here interpreting, and you know what? It's actually fun to do that. Sometimes you can just say words about a thing you like, and guess what? It's actually enjoyable to think about things. Sorry, I'm just mad at the internet again. I'll try to stop doing that. No guarantee, though. Anyway, though, yeah, like... It's not going to come up in any of the other endings a lot, especially the part about Mega Man trying to shoot Wily. Nobody's going to mention that ever again. Not even Wily, who, you know, probably got a bit scared of that one. Might have wet himself a little. But let's just move on to 8's ending. So, okay. When I first saw 8's ending way back when I was a child, I thought it was dumb and boring and was nothing. I disagree with myself now. I think it goes on a little long. It's an animated ending without much interesting animation, but whatever. It's for a video game. It probably wasn't their #1 priority. But yeah, like, 8's ending is all about kind of just disproving the end of 7, right? Like, 7 poses the question, hey, is Mega Man capable of shooting Wily? And 8 comes in and says, no, actually, he's not, because 8's ending is about Mega Man almost getting corrupted by a thing that is literally called evil energy. However, Duo comes in and is like, Ah, dang, Mega Man, you're too good a boy. You can't possibly be corrupted by the evil energy. And so he just kind of takes it out of Mega Man and crushes it, and it's done. It's a non-issue because Mega Man is just too good a boy. It's here to show that, after last time, Mega Man had a stumbling point, but that doesn't mean that he's gone off the deep end, that doesn't mean he's corrupt or evil. No, he's still dedicated to justice, it's just he got frustrated and pointed a gun at someone. So, 8's here to show us that Mega Man is too good a boy. However, 8 is also a turning point for Wily as well. 7 has Wily assert that he's still a human, and therefore Mega Man can't harm him. And 8 also shows that Wily has a line that he doesn't want to cross. Before the actual animated part of the ending, when Wily's defeated, the evil energy does some bullshit, which Wily clearly isn't ready for. He didn't actually cause this to happen. He doesn't even particularly seem to want it to happen. I mean, he'd probably let it happen, because, if evil energy corrupts a robot, what the hell are you gonna do? I mean, corrupt Mega Man isn't gonna stop him from ruling the world, but... But still, nonetheless, we see that Wily does have at least something akin to sympathy. And it could very well be the usual situation of like, oh, Wily just wants to defeat Mega Man on his own, he doesn't want the evil energy coming in and doing it for him. All Wily wanted the evil energy for was as a fuel source, that was literally it. Whatever being the evil energy was, Wily doesn't really want to actively use it to, corrupt the world or anything. He's just gonna put it into robots to make him go good. Cause that's what Wily is all about. And from then on, the endings kind of get a bit samey. Insofar as they're all kind of about the same thing. They are about, in some way, reminding Wily of his humanity. Because afterwards, years later, they came in with Mega Man 9, and that was the ending where Mega Man just, instead of trying to shoot Wily, just got a projector out of his dog and just showed Wily all of the times he failed. He tried to show Wily, hey, look, I don't know why you keep trying this. It never works, my dude. You're so bad at this. Just either attacking his pride or trying to show him that, hey, you're wasting your energy here. World domination isn't your thing. Do anything else. Which, of course, Wily just leaves. Wily just decides, I'm gonna trick you with a fake robot real quick. Anyway, bye. So yeah, Mega Man 9 ends with Wily being a dick, but instead of choosing violence, Mega Man just says, alright, well, let's go at this from a different angle. I'm gonna go for the psychological warfare angle of telling him he's so bad at his job of world domination that surely he'll quit. Then you have 10, where even less kinda happens. You have Wily, he's in space, he gets kind of ill. Mega Man's not about to leave him in space. Proto Man and Bass, well, they'll begrudgingly bring him back, but regardless, the robots aren't going to just leave Wily in space to die. They get him down back to Earth, they put him in a hospital, and he uses the opportunity to escape, of course, but this time around, without being prompted to, Wily does do something helpful. And granted, it is to clean up his own mess, sure, but in the end he does decide to repay the kindness of not letting him die in space with, alright, this plan failed, here's the cure for Robo-Enza, I'm out, but whatever, quit being sick. And there you go. And then 11 takes a similar tactic to Mega Man 9, where they're once again trying to appeal to Wily and some aspect of his personality. At this point, it's definitely his pride, because, well, Wily spends most of the end game with his pride wounded. He's real mad that Mega Man is using his double gear system. The system that got him kicked out of school is now being used to kick him in the ass, and, I get it. That sounds pretty frustrating. Nonetheless, though, Dr. Light comes in and is like, no, yeah, you're absolutely correct. The double gear system helped Mega Man a lot. You created a good thing, Wily. However, also take notice, the double gear system is in a robot that won't explode from overclocking, and also has a strong sense of justice. If we work together, we can actually make good things. And of course, Wily says, no, I'm a dick, I'm gonna leave now. But nonetheless, Mega Man and Light are trying to appeal to him. When Wily said, I'm a human in 7, Mega Man really took that to heart, and that is why I think the original version of 7's ending is better. I mean, look, yeah, it's kind of funny that Mega Man's just gonna be like, fuck you, I'm gonna shoot you actually, but like, no, 7's ending, the original, really kind of informs the tone most of the rest of the endings are going to take, and I mean, there's not that many endings afterwards, but nonetheless. Mega Man's not going to shoot Wily, he's going to try to help him in some way. And since this is a Saturday morning cartoon, Wily is never going to not be a dick. But also... look, he's not the worst thing. Again, as far as we can tell, he has no body count. I mean, look, repeatedly reprogramming robots to fight humanity, that's fucked up, sure, but like, if that's the extent of it... then, look, I've seen worse, okay? Look, I know he's evil, and he's too stubborn to give up being evil, but look, I'm just saying, Wily's just blowing up buildings without necessarily hurting anybody. There's no violent on-screen deaths in Mega Man. He's just going to try to take over the world because he's really pissy that he got booted out of college for trying to overclock robots. It's an overreaction, sure, but I'm gonna be honest, it's not insidious. Look, I would take a Dr. Wily. 'Cause, look, worst case scenario, we send Mega Man after Wily, that's that problem sorted, you can actually take care of the problem. What would Mega Man do in real life? Like, you can't have Mega Man protest any senators. They would make laws against super fighting robots if he did that. Though I guess to be fair, Mega Man does probably take place in, you know, Neo-Japan, considering it was made in Japan and has a lot of Japanese influence, so, actually, I guess come to think of it, okay. Mega Man could get away with assassinating Shinzo Abe, apparently. But other than that, you can't usually use violence against political figures without it going horribly wrong. You can use violence against Wily, and that's fine. Everybody agrees you can kick Wily's ass. So there's a solution to that problem, and again, he's not insidious. He doesn't care about your race or your gender or anything about you. He's just pissy about college, which is threatening in its own right, sure, but like, again... there's a super fighting robot between me and Wily, I'm feeling pretty fine. I just have to be the one chump. I just have to avoid being the one chump at the mining facility who avoids, like, the cone that shoots a missile at me. And it's fine. I'll get out of there in my safe evacuation tube. We're good, we're fine. But yeah, no, that's just one of the other positive things about the classic series is like, the worst evil in the world is really more just a petty dick. More than anything else. The worst guy you know is just kind of an ass. We can all laugh and have a good time about Wily surrendering. Villains later on in the series, not so much. Later series, yeah, no, there's more evil things. If there's evil in this world, it lurks in the hearts of man. Not particularly in the Mega Man Classic series, but, you know, later on, definitely. I mean, look, there's that one bit in the Classic series where they give robots expiration dates, and that's kind of fucked up because these are, like, sentient robots. They're not sapient yet. We've not gotten to the point where we have to question robot sapience. Just give that a minute. We'll get to that when I get to the X series. For the time being, they're all very definitely robots, and they kind of think on their own, and they act on their own, but they're not human. So it's a little bit fucked up that we say, hey, you're going to die on this day, but we're not yet at the point where we're going to question, hey, if we create things that can think for themselves, is it right that we then also give them the rules of old machines and tell them they have to die now? Why should we put our rules on these new robots? No, we don't have to ask those questions yet, so it's very jarring that they even brought it up in the first place. But yeah, I think that's about all I have to say on the classic series. Look, the individual endings of each game don't matter much, but I think they form a pattern that is interesting to think of, and that I thought about it a bunch, and I thought it was interesting. It doesn't lead up to any grand story, and honestly, like I said, I don't need a connective tissue between this game and the X series, and honestly, I don't even really need an epilogue for the classic series. It kind of just ends itself, you know? It's very much a series that can work on, and the adventure continues. Wily will probably be back one day to fight Mega Man, and maybe there'll be a Mega Man 12 where we get to experience that. And if there isn't, well, that would suck, because I do want a Mega Man 12 after 11 was so good, but, you know, whatever. They'll do what they want. There are plenty of Mega Man games that I have played and enjoyed, so I don't think it's 100% necessary to get new games. It would just be kind of nice, you know? It would be kind of nice to get that sort of new thing. But regardless, I don't really need the classic series to have an end point, and of all the Mega Man series, I think classic can pull that off the most. It's the one that can say, yeah, no, stuff might happen later down the line, but you have seen the adventures of Mega Man, you have enjoyed the adventures of Mega Man, but, you know, they'll keep happening, and if you're not privy to them, then that's just how it is. Look, if you really want to, there's always fanfic, just write your own stuff. You can perhaps make Otto the best character, who saves the day, and comes in and he comes in and saves Mega Man, and is all cool and heroic. Hold on just a sec. Alright, Otto, I'm gonna need that made out. Oh, you got the info there? Cool, thank you. Thanks, Otto. Alright, I'm back. What did I miss? Okay, so, anyway, yeah. It really is just a very Saturday morning cartoon series. And again, I absolutely do not mean that as an insult. I think that's good. Look, sometimes you just want things with a light tone. It's okay. It's okay if people want to be optimistic about the future sometimes. It's very difficult, but you know what? At least classic Mega Man is here to say, hey, things will be pretty good. And so with that said, we're moving towards the series that says, no, actually, the future is going to be very, very messy. So, classic series is all done, and I'm going to be moving on to the X series. Let me just check real quick. So this is probably going to come out December 12th. I'm gonna see if I can get something special for Christmas. I got a few weeks to do something, because with the X series starting, I'll actually start playing X1 in January of 2023. Gonna give myself a small break. It's not much. There's not much break time. December's almost over by the time you're hearing this, so not a lot of 2022 left. That just set on me. It just dawned on me. Wow, holy shit, there's not a lot of year left in this year. Anyway, though, yeah. Hopefully, either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, I can come to you with a commentary for Mega Man X, The Day of Sigma, the Mega Man X OVA that takes place before X1. Here is hoping I can do that in a timely manner. Regardless, though, we'll be moving on to the X series. Like I said, I don't feel the need for a connective tissue between the classic series and the X series. The implication there being a character who appears in the X series would probably, like, kill Mega Man or something. I don't know. That sounds like a thing a teen would come up with, but I'm not interested in that. And quite frankly, when we get to X1, the intro screen will have all the information you need to know what happens between Classic and X. Everything else explains itself pretty well. So I hope you're looking for a darker and edgier series, but one that is far more extreme. That's literally the Game Boy Color game's titles. It's Extreme because it's about X. It's 90s cool, and we're going to be playing as a character who is so much cooler than old classic series Mega Man. Look at classic Mega Man over there. What a baby. Unlike Mega Man X, who is just extremely rad and is depressed about fighting all the time, and would actually be classic Mega Man's younger brother, technically. So he is in fact a junior by this point, but you know, totally extreme. War as hell. And, hey, remember when I said that the classic series, you know, it's very middling? It doesn't have, like, super high highs or super low lows? Well, guess what? I hope you're excited for the X series, where that's not true at all. This is the Mega Man series with some really high highs and some abysmal lows. Oh boy. Oh god. Oh god, I'm gonna have to play X3. Oh god, I'm gonna have to play X7. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the classic series, and I'll see you next time. Rest well, old Blue Bomber. You have certainly been doing a lot of super fighting over the last... Wait, hold on a sec. When did I even start this? So let's see. Original LP was... Oh god, that was 2014, huh? Alright, well, when did I start doing these regularly? That was kind of Mega Man 3 or 4. Let's see. 3 was 2018. Oh, geez. And then, yeah, no, 4 was when I started doing this regularly. That was 2019. Oh my god. Oh my god, this was 2019. It has almost been 3 years since I started playing the classic series regularly. These aren't even long games. How has it been going on for this long? Confound it, time, you got me again. Anyway, the point is, yeah, no, classic Mega Man's done a lot. Let's let him rest for a bit. See you in crossovers and references, good buddy.